citizen civic engagement. Our vision is how can we build agency in young people and activate 21st century skills by helping them solve civic and environment related problems in their neighborhood. So it's purely youth focused. These youth go and solve local problems, civic and environment related problems in the project, develop their 21st century skills. So it's a not-for-profit based out of Bangalore, but I work from Chennai, and my native is very close to Coimbatore. If you know Erode, Perundurai, I come from that area. Yeah, so I'll let Anupam to introduce himself, and probably then I'll just give an overview, and then we can dive deep.
Thanks, Gautam. So, hi everyone, I am Anupam. So I work in Rehab Benefit as a technical consultant. So apart from this, I'm full-time. I'm working as a full-time senior software engineer in Global Fancy. So it's like a US-based startup, mostly into B2B SaaS integrations. Yeah.
Okay, great. So let's jump in. So the way this session is going to be structured, I actually had a different plan, so I'm just improvising on the go, seeing the numbers. So what I'll do is I'll give you an overview of what is Samaaja, what is its capabilities, why is it important, why and what's the story behind Samaaja as a free and open source software for citizen engagement. Then Anupam will take over and he will get into the technicalities of it. Is this clear? If it's clear, can you type yes? So at least that way that interaction will be there. Okay, thanks, Mani. Okay, so let me share my screen. At any point, I have the tendency to go fast. At any point, if something is not clear, if you want to ask something, feel free to unmute or put your question on the chat. Happy to take it up. Is my screen visible? Yes?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, I'll introductory then. Great. So what are some of the problems that most of the, it can be a social group, it can be a not-for-profit, or it can be an interested or a civic leader who wanted to do something on the, it can be you who you see a problem on the ground in your locality. It's a hyper-local problem because it affects you and your family, and you wanted to do something about it, right? What are some of the barriers from understanding that the problem exists and moving forward? Like, how do I move from, I know there is a problem, what do I do about it, right? So we have been thinking about this in ReBenefits context. As we work with a lot of young people, this is a common problem they come up with. I know what the problem in my locality is. I don't know how to solve it. How do I go about it, right? So keep in mind, we actually came up with 4 problem statements that we felt it's very important to be addressed to ensure citizen engagement in India in general increases if these 4 problems are addressed. So what's the first one? Tool awareness. The social impact groups and the not-for-profits don't know about simple tools that they can actually use to get their work done easily. Basically, the lack of awareness of what is already available. Second, the readiness of the tools. Let's say that there are tools, but is it readily available to use? Then that's a question. Let's say I am someone who don't know how to code, but I have a decent technology level skill where I'll be able to navigate a technology platform or manage it more like a WordPress. Are there any such tools in place which I can use immediately to create a change in the society? So that's a question. That's the second problem statement we wanted to address. Then the digital engagement. So there are these lots of individuals in smaller local communities who are actually doing some good work on the ground, but engaging them on bringing them together and engaging them as a group to create maximum impact is always a challenge. And the community collaboration is also like more or less the same thing, where initiatives, efforts are happening in silos. How do we bring them together? So these are the four major problem statements that we wanted to explore. If we find a solution, then there is a larger scope that citizen engagement in the country, irrespective of whether it is in Coimbatore, Chennai, or in Assam, things will move forward. So that's about the problem statement. Okay, so this session and this particular topic is for you if you fall under these two categories. One, I am someone who really passionate about technology, tech for good, creating an impact, and want to understand, has any tech solution solved a real world problem? Second, I'm someone who's a techie developer. I can use my coding skills to actually build solutions, user-centric solutions and citizen solutions that can tackle on-ground issues at individual level, street level, even at a system level like a government, municipalities, corporation, etc. Great. So what are the problems that needs to be addressed? While the statements are clear, how do we approach towards the solution? Once the problem is clear, you need to these are broader problem statement I have shared. What are the chunks, smaller chunks or low hanging fruits if we can focus on, we will be able to address some of the issues. One is the access to local data, because most of the time, let's say if the garbage issue, which is a pothole problem in your locality, how do I solve it, right? One of the things we can do is to report, like whom do we report? Where do we find that information? So there seems to be a lot of friction exists there in finding these information itself. Second, access to toolkits. So what do I mean by toolkits? Let's say reporting is not the only way to solve a problem. Actually, there are certain initiatives as an individual, as a neighborhood collective, we will be able to take, which can actually address the issues. For example, there is a huge garbage dump in my street. Of course, I reported and people are clearing it, but unfortunately, there is this unknown group of people who are continuously dumping. So how about community coming together, doing a proper clear and creating a awareness around these issues? But to do this, they need to know how to do some successful citizen-centric campaigns. Is there a place where I can learn from a group of people who have already done it? So that's the access to toolkits and best practices. Then you have this problem where, as an organization, I actually engage a lot of beneficiaries and volunteers. But how do I give them meaningful rewards and recognition? Because these people are giving their time and effort. It can be in any context. It might not be only in citizen engagement, but in general. People are coming and volunteering their time and writing code. How do I actually give a meaningful reward to them? Okay? That's the third problem needs to be addressed. The fourth one is, how do we create this positive gamified environment? Because these are volunteers. These are people who out of interest coming and doing some initiatives or doing contributions. How can we create a system which will give them social identity, which will also motivate them and accountable to further continue to engage what they are doing? So how do that gamification element comes into picture? And finally, because of different technology interventions, these days we prone to have a lot of data, which is geolocation data, because when someone goes on the ground, take an action, solve a problem, and they use technology, at least you will get the location information. There are a lot of organizations, including Reap Benefit, and in fact, there is a lot of data which is already available as an open data set. But with this geolocation, which actually communicates the realistic scenario of a particular neighborhood, how do we make the best use of this data? Like, having lat long alone is not going to help. How do I create, or how do I help people to make sense or take out valuable insights using this data? So basically, these are the five major things that we wanted to we have seen as low-hanging fruits and wanted to address. That's where Samaaja comes in. So Samaaja helps in bridging the engagement gaps. It's a technology system that you can instantly deploy. You will be able to connect with the local communities and local change makers or people with the same interest. Samaaja can also help to showcase your existing skills which you acquire through actions, not through qualification. So difference here is qualification, you go through a course and then you say that you get a certificate saying that, hey, I'm good in this. Whereas the approach here is I have taken this action. That action can be anything. It can be coding. It can be solving a problem on the ground. That activates some skills. And Samaaja can help the person to showcase the same. And finally, the important piece, the problems in the society are collective problems, and it can't be solved when worked in silos because each and everything is interdependent. Like the example I have given, there is a garbage dump, you report, people, the municipality will come and clear it. But it doesn't mean that the problem is going to come there again, because the root cause of the problem is some people is actually dumping. So the community has to come together. So how do we break silos and leverage the power of hyperlocal? Hyperlocal means it's the local neighborhood, the problems or the place where you live in. That's what hyperlocal means. So moving on. Yeah, so all these things are great. Like, why a tech solution? We thought we will create a specific solution for WeBenefit, which address the problem as rewarding, access to local data, enabling community collaborations, etc. But then when we started having the conversation with other not-for-profits and the other people who are in the citizen engagement space, they said this is not a specific problem. This is a generic problem that most of the organizations and people in this particular citizen engagement space will definitely face. So keeping that in mind, then when we approached, I don't know how many of you know Kailash Nath. Kailash Nath is the CTO of Zerodha. He is also a board member of WeBenefit. So he is actually a part of this not-for-profit called FOSS United. They're based out of Bangalore, but they operate pan-India right now. So we collaborated with them. So WeBenefit became the Asian partner for Samaaja, and the actual code contribution came from the FOSS United community. So that's how Samaaja as a free and open source software came into picture. Right now, it's considered to be for citizen engagement, but we are seeing larger scope in terms of its education, climate, disaster management, and plenty other fields. Okay, great. Now I understood the story behind Samaaja, what it is. It's a free and open source software. It is capable of doing this, addresses these problems. But why do someone wants to use it, right? One, it's low code. It's built on Frappe. When Anupam share the technicalities, you can understand that. And it's faster in deployment. So one click, you just get everything in place. More like when you are trying to install WordPress, you have the batteries included, right? Just like that, with Samaaja, you will get a configurable user profile. You will get a configurable badging system, which will address the problem of rewarding and recognitions. You have the configurable leaderboard, which will address the problem of how do I create a gamified environment. Built-in location-based configurable system addresses the need of having proper systems in place to create the map visualizations. And of course, since this is built on Frappe, open source, the integration with external platforms is kind of seamless. Here is an example of how Samaaja is actually enabling crowdsourced citizen verified information. So back in 2022, when it was raining in Chennai, we wanted to collect information about the flooding zones. It's been flooding everywhere, but we wanted to understand what are those hotspots, so that once you have the data at a systemic level, we can do a study and understand some of the precautionary measurements one can take to avoid this in future. 2, at an immediate level, what are some of the high vulnerable spots if there is a if there is a relief effort needs to be done, we can. So this is how it has been done. So the user-facing platform is a chatbot where people come, they provide the information about the hotspot, they provide all the location, required details, and it will automatically goes on to this platform called Samaaja Data, which is powered by Samaaja. It actually it's a map visualization platform that provides access to local data, and then whoever comes to the platform can actually open and see what this is about, like what is this particular point is about. For example, this actually helped in terms of facilitating the efforts around vulnerable spots and relief efforts in 2022 when it was flooding in Chennai. This is great at a community level, at a collective level, but obviously what is the incentive for someone who's doing it, right? One is at a goodwill, but there is definitely to keep this motivation high, they need something. So Samaaja has these ability to create profiles, and with a proper badging system in this context, when someone gives crowdsourcing, they activate critical thinking, hands-on skills, data orientation, and grit. So this is an actual realistic example of how Samaaja was put into action. Moving on. Okay, this video not needed. Okay, then now a question can be, okay, all these are great. There is one use case. Are there any organizations who are actually adopted Samaaja and do the customization according to their needs? Of course, Reap Benefit being one of the founding organizations, we have adopted Samaaja. So the leaderboard you see here is actually customized for the only the user interface. Vipin in this call actually led that effort. And the backend logic is actually powered by the Samaaja module itself. Only the front end we just need to work on. Similarly, changemaker for portfolio. So this is imagine this is a LinkedIn for social change making, where any young person who has solved a problem can actually update this on their changemaker profile, the action. Based on the type of action, certain skills will start populating. So right now, the efforts we are putting on this is around how can this become a source for people to start getting funds or start getting access to different opportunities, even though their qualification is not up to the mark. How can we reimagine the way people are getting opportunities at this point? So this, what you see is the backend logic is the user profile of Samaaja. What you see here is actually nothing but like only the user interface. The look and feel of it has been customized for our needs. And then we have this platform called Samaaja Data. The data collected through different sources comes to the Samaaja. I mean, here in this case, Reap Benefits instance of Samaaja, and from there it starts populating on a map like this, which address the problem of having access to citizen verified hyperlocal information. Oh yeah. So with that, I take a pass. Is there any questions? Any thoughts? I mean, you can unmute and ask, or probably you can just type it in the chat. Even if there are no questions, you can say no. Okay.
Hi, Gautam. Yeah. I have a question here. Okay. Entire things it's all very super. So where you have store the data? I mean, I think cloud or some local database.
Okay, so like the Samaaja of Reap Benefits instance is running in AWS, if I'm not wrong, right, Anupam? And it is connected. I think that technical part is actually Anupam can cover, but it's actually hosted on the web services, and we are actually like extracting the information from there.
Okay, nice. This is open platform or a specific login? Is there any?
See, it's like WordPress, right? Say, for example, you have your own instance, then you can do whatever you want. But Samaaja.org is currently hosted by us. So if you need some test credentials, you have to reach out to us. But if you download the source and you install it on as a local host, then you don't need it.
Okay. Thanks, Gaurav.
Yeah, thanks, Vivek. Anyone else? Or we can move into the actual technicalities. Okay, Anupam, over to you. So maybe you can just give an overview of Frappe, how Samaaja works, and if there are any specific questions around how a specific thing works, then you can get into the details of it. Yeah.
Let me share my screen. So my screen is visible.
Yes, Anupam. Yeah.
So now, like all of you get an idea about Samaaja. So, like I will cover like how Samaaja built. So Samaaja is basically an app built on Frappe. So I will start with Frappe. So Frappe is like open source framework, web framework similar to this Django. So in backend it uses Python and in the front end it uses JavaScript. So this Frappe is the foundation of ERP. Like this is like open source ERP software, uh, like a kind of alternative to this SAP and Zoho. Like if you have to start working with Frappe, you should have basic knowledge of Python, JavaScript, jQuery, MySQL, some HTML, CSS, Bootstrap. This is not required if you are like going to work on backend only. And yeah, Git and like Jinja templating. So like these are some key features of Frappe. So since it is an open source, so like there is like many people who contribute into this project. So it is like there are like really like less bugs and like there is a very active community all over the world. So it uses Python and JavaScript, so it make like easier for like coding. So it for database management, Frappe itself have their ORM. For ORM management, they use PyPika. It's again open source like Python package. So if you worked with this Django, right? So but in Fabric, so if we like started, right, we don't have to build any UI, like anything, like you don't have to even define the database schema. Like you just have to define the fields, or if you want to design form, then you have to define like what all fields you need in the form, like what you do on Google Forms. So REST API. So in REST API, right? So we don't have to define route or anything. So we just have to define like a Python method with some decorator. So it will be automatically exposed as a like a REST API. So before this one, right, I will cover this one. So document management. So basically in Frappe, right, even from your single document, let's say you have web form or like there is a field in a web form. So those are also considered as a document. So let's say we have created a document for like inquiry. So for inquiry document, right? So Frappe itself has a like role management. Like let's say user with system manager role, they will be able to access this document and let's say user have website role, so they will not able to access this uh, document basically. So even you can add permissions like role-based permission on each fields. Let's say inquiry, you have added like 4 fields: first name, last name, contact, email, and then description. So if you want to add permission on that single field also, so you can add. So customize and extensible. Explain. So customize is like let's say Samaaja. So Samaaja itself like build on Frappe. So further, if I want to do some additional things using Samaaja, so that I can do by customizing. Customizing in the sense like I want to add some additional functionality, let's say some fields or some form for extracting some more data, like, or some if we want to add some more pages for like representing the data. So multi-tenancy. So in Frappe, so there is a like provision like on single instance. Let's say we have created an environment. So on that environment, we can host like multiple sites. So Frappe have like their own community support, like similar to Stack Overflow. If you have any like question, you can like interrupt me. Okay. So bench. So basically, bench is a command line interface tool for like managing Frappe. Let's say, uh, like pip is a like basically a CLI tool for managing the Python packages. So similar to that, for Frappe, bench is a command line tool. So like how like this is bench is helpful. So by like using some like bench commands, right? We can manage like environment. Like let's say if we want to use some Python version, if we want to change Python version, currently we are using 3.9, and like further we want to use 3.10. These things, so it can be managed through this environment management. Site management. So site management is basically like let's say bench. So bench itself is an instance. So in that instance, we have several apps. Let's say Frappe itself a app, and there is Samaaja. So Samaaja is like another app. So for managing those apps, that can be done through its bench console. And service management is basically like MySQL services, then Redis workers, and like mm, building that CSS and JS development tool. Like this is for mostly for debugging pieces. Like if you want to like access the database for your specific sites, so in that case, like this development tools are required. Yeah, for deployment and maintenance, again this by using a single command, right? We can update all of our apps. Like let's say we have like three apps. First is Frappe, second is your Samaaja, and third is your some other your custom app. So by using single command like it, we can deploy those changes. Multi-tenancy, like again, this there are 2-3 things in multi-tenancy. So either we can host. This is mostly for hosting. Let's say if we want to if we want to host a single site, so that can be also handled. And there are two more things. So if we want to host multiple sites, so multiple sites, right? There are also two provisions. Either we want to do host based on port basis, or we want to do on DNS basis. So this configuration can be done through bench. One more thing, like for your this backup and restore the application, this bench is also like required over there. So this is basically overall architecture of a bench. So let's say we created a bench instance. So bench have it's like Python virtual environment. Again, it have node, background job, Redis, work job. For like Redis is used for caching and queuing, and node is used for like JavaScript package manager. And this piece right over here, like in app level, right? So we have Frappe is actually like a web like app only, and bench is used to like manage all these things, all these services and apps and sites. So let's say like we will create one more our custom app, so that will come here like in that same environment. Like the like one good thing is, right, so if you see like we have 3 sites running in the same instance. So but the a good thing is like a database and other like storage are different, will be different for all the sites, but like these three sites. So they will utilize same code base for like Pape, Samaaja, or any other customer. So like this is a single bench instance. So let's say if we want to like use two different versions. So Frappe is currently like in 15 version. Let's say if we want to use version 14 and version 15. So what we have to do, we just have to create two benches, first with version 14 and one with version 15. So like both will work independently, but they will use like same database. If you have any question, like you can ask.
Yeah, even if you want to put it on chat, please do. Like I will take it to Anupam.
Yeah. So here are like some links, references for installation of Frappe. We can like go through. Yes. Okay. Should I share over here? Oh, okay. So these are like a references link for installation of Frappe and like initializing the bench. Yeah. And here like there I have put like the reference is like how you can start with Frappe. Like it have like some video tutorials, and good thing is like they have their own this thing learning platform similar to Udemy. So like most of the courses are free. Like if you have to go for certification, then only you have to pay. Otherwise, like the rest of the things are like totally free. Now we will come to Samaaja. So Samaaja is like basically an app built on top of Frappe. So like so in Frappe, right? Let's say in database, you define some schemas. Let's say for user, right? We have first name, first name, last name, then gender, then age, then address and phone number. So for that, we define schema, right, on a database level. But if we work with Frappe, right, we don't have to do anything like this. Like we don't have to define schema. So in Frappe, we create doc types. So doc type is basically an entity. So let's say if we open this location. So location have all these fields. Geolocation, latitude, longitude, description, address, landmarks, pin, city. So like if we create any doc type, right? So Frappe, like under the hood, it create that database schema, and it will have like CERD operation built in, and reporting and notification and more. Like it come with like every like generic pieces. Like if we want to do some business logic, then only we have to write the code. Otherwise, like we save like around 60 to 70% time on these things. So in Samaaja, like I have highlighted few doc types. Why like we few doc types basically for what we are using in the Samaaja. But there are more, but I have highlighted few only. So location is basically used for like keeping the location. Like let's say currently I am in Pune, right? So I have created some event. Event is basically action, like that Gautam Raj show you in the that map, right? There is some points over there. So for location tracking, we use this location. So an event is basically an action. Let's say we like added some action. Let's say there is a pothole. So I have created an action from my end. Like this is the pothole spotted and on that location, and how many hours we invested on this particular event. So those things. So event source is basically like let's say how this what is the source of this event. These are basically entity. Like we can define like our source. Let's say came from some, we can define our own event sources. Event type is like what type we want to put for that event. Category again, like category for events. Subcategory, like this is like inside category, right? Like this is like kind of tree structure. Like we have category, then subcategory for like general, specialization of that data. And a user organization, like this, we have created like a user basically come with Frappe, but we have created this doc type user organization for like associating that user with some organization. Badge, right? Badge is for like assigning some achievement or skill to a user. So user badge is basically, let's say we have an initiator badge. If we want to like assign that badge to a user, let's say Anupam. So this is basically that entry, badge entry. And here is like here is like list of all the doc type which are present like there in the Samaaja. So like if you have any question regarding this doc type, because like this framework is like totally based on doc type, even doc type itself doc type.
In the crowdsourcing piece, like on the map it starts populating, right? That lat and long and that meta level information about the location is actually coming from the location doc type, and then the event, that particular marker which says, hey, this is a flooding spot, and where it is and what's the description the user has, and that populates on the map, actually coming from events. And these location and the events, every event will have a location, so that's how it actually, like, they are interconnected and starts populating. Event source through which it usually comes, at least in this case it's the chatbot. There are other ways through which we will be able to get it as well, maybe through direct ingestion, or maybe just an API call that actually writes directly into the system as well. Event types, these are like different actions. Like crowdsourcing is an action, going on the ground and solving a problem is an action. That's what the event type document refers to. Event categories, in the example I have given, the category is of course crowdsourcing of data, especially on floods. Subcategory can be, it's prone to like decide how we wanted to have it, but in that context it's mostly around urban infrastructure, for example. User organization is to understand in a particular area from a particular program or from an organization, a number of people who have actually came in and took that action. It's more an internal and analytics purpose. Badges, of course, like in the screen on the rightmost, if you remember, there is these small badges, right? Which is critical thinking, data orientation, etc. Those are badges. What are these badges? That goes into this document. User badges, when that particular user takes an event that is listed in the event, and actually automatically start mapping those earned badges. This doc type captures the earned badges of the user. So I just wanted to give the relevance to what I spoke and what Anupam has shared. Any questions you can share? Yeah. Anupam, over to you.
Yeah, thanks.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, Anupam. Here I have a doubt. Like instead of database schema, we are using location. No. Or
So no. So what it does, right? We are using database schema. Like let's say we have location, right? So
yeah.
there is like a table for location in the database. Like, but some like like this framework is designed in such a way, right? It's rare, like very rare you will go to check like database schema. Like everything we handle through UI.
Okay. So
Let's say if
like
you have
if you want to merge the two, like we use left join and right joins in database schema. No, if you want to merge two tables, how it will work in that time?
so in that case, right? So like okay, so left join and right join, right? So I like for context, I will consider a report. Like we generally use this left join in the reports only. Let's say if you want to like show report on base of a location and events. So in that case, we can write some SQL queries. So Frappe itself, Frappe come with their ORM, right? So you will write a query to like get to like make the join query
Okay.
for this thing, right? If we want to refer this location from event, right? Let's say there is an event, you have created an action and you want to like link that location. So for location, Frappe have a link field. Link field is basically a foreign key to other table record.
Okay. Understood.
So the purpose of creating Samaaja is to make it low code and easy for especially not for profits or anyone with a moderate level of technical abilities to do it. And that's why the choice of using Frappe and these doctates comes into picture. That's why that's a good question that you have asked. But the idea here is how do we do it through the user interface itself? And is that possible? It is possible. And that's why Frappe they are using here.
Yeah,
So
got it.
I will show you like some UI. There is a UI in the presentation also.
Yeah. Thank you.
So Samaaja came with these basic features. Let's say you have created your profile, like you have to edit the profile. So there is like feature for editing your profile. If you want to add some action, so it have a form to like add the action again. Like if you want to like edit the action, there is like a functionality to edit. If you want to edit your like existing action, then you can do like, again reporting an action. If you want to report some user section, so you can report user reporting. Leaderboard, okay, leaderboard is basically like we want to like show like list of our users based on their like how many like actions they have created and how many like hours they have spent on the base of location or organization and like these things. User badges for like giving badges to the user. So these are like these are these features, and I will cover some show you some UI like how it looks on the UI. So like if once we install Samaaja, right? Let's say we hit this URL like our site then edit profile, so it show you form like this. So like you can edit it like what in like if you want to update some of the like your information, then you can update from here. Then record an action. So this is another web form. Let's say if you want to report some issues, so here you will put title, and if you want to put some description, you can put. And then again, if you want to add attachment, some photos or videos, then you can attach from here. You see this map, right? This is basically for capturing that location. Like this is like similar to Google Map. Like if you have to just simply like drop the marker on your location and it will capture your location. And again, if we save this document, right? So on base of your location, it create that location record in the Samaaja database. So from here we have created the action. Like let's say if we made some mistake to our action, then if we want to edit that action, then like, we have to like use this URL. our side, then edit action, then your event ID, like what is your basically action ID. This is the leaderboard. Like you have to access leaderboard through this URL. Like I think Gautam will show you like leaderboard having like more data. I like since this I have taken a screenshot from my local machine, so it didn't have much data. So this is how we will create like badges. So for badges, right? So there is a doc type called badge. So we will create a badge with some title, and we have to write a query like on what basis we have to like assign that badge to that user. Let's say we have created a badge initiator. In initiator, we will write a query. Let's say uh, initiator we will assign to a user. Let's say if that user reported an action like on the base of action count. Let's say like user record action, then we have to assign that badge. So we will write an SQL query. So after that, there is a badge job written. So it executed every 1 hour. So after an hour, that badge is automatically assigned to that user. So here are some references for Samaaja, like for documentation, installation, whatever is like basic things which are required getting started. So customization is required. Let's say Samaaja is like a app like managed by this FOSS United, and that is basically standard. I am using Samaaja, and like I want to like do something additional which is not there. So there like this customization came into picture. Let's say I want to add some fields in, let's say fields in events, or I like when action is like event is created, right? I want to write some business logic, or like I want to send some notification. In that case, we can do customization. So this is custom field. Custom field is basically like we have that doc type, right? And if we want to add some additional fields in that particular doc type, so using customized field, custom field, we can do that. So if you refer this GIF, right? Okay, sorry. So this is my form, right? This is basically event form. So here I will add this subtitle field. So this subtitle field is basically not there in that doc type. So this here is. So I have opened that doc type, and now I will add that subtitle field. So here I have added field, right? And like in the backend, it will create add that column in the database. See here that column is now added. So server script is basically, let's say, if we want to write some like our business logic, if we want to write some validation, let's say on different events, like let's say we want to write some logic on validate or save, or if we want to do some additional functionality after like our document is saved, then we can do using server script. This server script is also used to create an API, REST API. Like hardly, if you want to like let's say if you want to return like all of your actions through API, so you hardly have to write 5 to 10 line of code for like creating that API. Do you have any question on this server script? So web form is basically like this is most likely similar to our Google form. So we get an interface in the Frappe to create form. So I show you these things. Right? So these are basically web forms. So if we have to design forms, then we have to create a record for a web form. Then we have to put title for that form. Then again we will get a like table. Like we have to select fields. Let's say if we want to add a web form for our event, so we will select our document type events over there, and we will select all of our fields, like what all fields we want to show on the UI, and then we will publish that web page. And like this is how we will create that web page. So from the web page, if we like enter any of information and we save, then it will create that record again in that required doc type. So web page is basically this like web page have this again a doc type web page. So web like it give you like provision to like create your web page, public pages basically. So in web page, you will get you can write your custom CSS, JavaScript, or HTML, or you can also write some this. You can also get information from the database for creating that web page. Yeah.
Anupam, do you want to give your benefit address? Oh, you don't have one. Sorry, I just done that.
Any questions so far? I mean, this is completed. You can also write in the chat.
Yeah. So if anyone have any questions, please do put it on chat. And also, I think if you're like picking up something and then building for the hackathon, Gautam and Anupam would be like happy to help you in any way. Like you could reach out to them, even in case like through the addresses they have shared already. And yeah, you can like unmute yourself and then you could speak. If not, if you have any difficulties, you can put it on chat also.
So just to add on, if you need any use cases that you wanted to explore or build that will actually impact citizen at a ground level and also at a municipality or a corporation level, and possibly like lead to deeper impact, feel free to reach out. As Reap Benefit, we actually have a bunch of use cases that we anyway wanted to explore. We have some, but would love to actually suggest you some, and possibly you can actually take it as a part of this hackathon as well. And secondly, a lot of these things that Anupam has shared, like once you install, so basically you don't have to do much. You just need to basically connect the pieces together, and actually you are good to go in most of the cases. That's the intention of creating something like Samaaja, so that it's low code and it's easy to deploy as well. Yeah. So Anupam has shared the link to the presentation. Okay. So I assume there is no questions. Yes, John. Yeah. Feel free to. I was just saying that you need help is what I thought I said to help. But if you have your own use case, feel free to go ahead and just implement. The platform is completely open, so it's free to explore for any other purpose as well. In fact, we would love to see what are some of the use cases that you are coming up with.
Hello, Anupam. Yeah, hello. Here, one small doubt. Like in backend, we are using like Node.js and database. It's like, is there any other SQL database Node.js, or we can use Java also from backend?
Anupam, you want to take that?
Yes. So you mean on a scripting side or like on database?
Database. So basically, in database, if we use Java, we can use Spring Boot. No. So here we are using Node.js. So it's like JavaScript library. No. So in backend side, we are using only Node.js and database schema here.
No, no. In backend, we are not using Node.js. We are using Python. Like Node is basically used for managing JavaScript packages here,
Yeah.
but we are not using Node in
Okay.
any like UI functionality. But yeah, backend we can use like whatever like a database you want to use. Either like we can also utilize our this some local file. Let's say if we want, we have text file for data source, then also we can utilize that.
Thank you.